Welcome back to Kittens and Crochet YouTube channel. This is part 3 of the Fox Baby Security Blanket video, and in this video we will be assembling our fox. The first thing that we're going to attach is the snout. Now before we attach the snout, go ahead and get your black yarn and we're going to add a nose to it. So the nose is going to go over top of row 2. I always like to keep the yarn tail at the bottom. And here's your center magic circle. That would be row 1, and then row 2 is here. So go from behind and just pop out in between rows 1 and 2. And don't pull all the way through, leave some yarn in the back. And then you're just going to go over top of row 2. So just go one space up. And then go back through the same stitch that you went through, and then go up and over, and then we're just going to keep doing this to fill this space in. Alright, and when you're satisfied, you can go ahead, turn this over, and lightly knot these two yarn tails together. And then you can cut them a little shorter. And then go ahead and add a little bit of stuffing. And now we're ready to attach it to the head. So count down 11 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The snout, the top of the snout is going to go right underneath of that row. So you can use a pin to hold it in place. And then count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You want the snout to end right above row 16. Pin that in place. Alright, so just make sure you like the position of your snout, and now we're going to go ahead and attach. So I'll show you how to start attaching. Alright, so I always go through the next stitch of the snout and right into the head and pop out on the side of the face. And now I'm going to go right back to the next stitch. I'm going to go through it, pull through, but then I like to go back one stitch. And now before I pull this all the way through, you'll see I went up through this stitch and then back a stitch. After I pull this through, I'm going to go up through this next stitch. So go ahead and pull that through. And we're going to go through the head and go up through the next stitch. And then I'm going to backtrack again, go back And then one more time, go through the head and go over to the snout and go up through the next stitch and then back one stitch. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that all the way around. So go ahead and attach your snout, and then I'll meet you back here and we'll move on. Alright, so I made it all the way back to the beginning. So now I'm just going to knot off. And then I'm going to take this yarn tail down through the snout and the head and pop out through the bottom. Alright, so your snout is attached. So let's go ahead and move on to the ears. Okay, so the ears are going to go approximately in between rows 2 and 3 and 9 and 10. So for the top of the ear, count, here's row 1, here's row 2, and here's 3. So we want the top of the ear to be about in between rows 2 and 3. So we'll go ahead and pin that down. And then the bottom of the ear, we want it to be approximately between rows 9 and 10. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here's row 9. So 9 and 10. And we'll pin that down. We'll do the same thing with the other side. I'm actually going to move my ear forward a little bit. Okay, now I got both ears pinned on there. Once you're satisfied, just make sure they're nice and evenly placed. And now we'll go ahead and attach. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show you how to attach the ear. So you're going to take your yarn tail and you're going to go through the bottom stitch first. And then you're going to take it all the way to the top of the ear, pop out right where you want to attach the top of the ear to the head. And then grab a stitch of the top ear. And don't worry about your other ear if it comes off. Just have to pin it back in place. And then take that back down through the head. All right. All right, so by doing that, we got the ear attached on the top of the bottom where we like it. So now we're going to attach the back of the ear first. And you're going to attach this just like we attached the snout. So you go up through a stitch of the ear and then backtrack one stitch. Then you're just going to do that all the way down. So now you got the back of the ear attached. Now we're going to attach the front of the ear. You want to make sure that the ear is pushed in, just like that, like kind of like a little C there. Alright, so I push through the head first and then go through the ear. Now I'm just going to go up through the ear just to make sure I get it placed where I want it. And then I'm going to go back down the same stitch of the head that I just came out of. To get it into place. And now we're just going to continue doing what we did with the back. Going through the next stitch of the ear and then backtracking one stitch. And just continue making sure that your ear is staying in that back part of the head there. If you have to, you can pop out of the head first without going into a stitch of the ear. Alright, then once you make it to back to the top of the ear, you just go back down through there and then flip it over to the back and go ahead and knot off on a stitch of the ear. And then go back down through and work your yarn tail down to the bottom of the head. And then cut it free. Alright, so now you have one ear attached. Go ahead and attach your second ear just the same way that we attached the first, and I'll meet you back here and we'll attach the arms. I apologize. One slight difference with this ear is your yarn tail will be at the top. So instead of attaching the bottom first, you're going to attach the top first and then the bottom. But then everything else is the same. Okay, after you have both your ears attached, we're going to go ahead and move on to the arms. The arms are going to be attached at the base of the head, right before the blanket starts. And just make sure when you're attaching, if you look, these will be the under part so that you don't see this transfer from your case black, my case gray to orange. So just make sure you have that nice solid color change showing. And you're going to put them on either side and just make sure they're nice and even. Alright, once you're satisfied with where your arm is, butt it up to the head of the fox. And just go into the head of the fox and pop out over where the other side of the arm starts. And then go through a stitch of the arm. Make sure you're still satisfied how your arm is looking. And then just go through next stitch of the arm and into the head. And then you're just going to go over one stitch of the head. Then go ahead and go back through the arm. And then I'm going to go back in that same stitch of the head I was just in. And then go over one. And then through a stitch of the arm. Back into the same stitch of the head. And then go over one stitch. And then through a stitch of the arm. Back into the head. And over. And that should lead you to where you started the arm. So you can go back through the start of the arm and then go out the back of the head, and then just make sure that you're satisfied with your arm. And then I like to go up under the arm and knot off. And then go through the head, take your yarn tail out the bottom. Alright, so there's one arm attached. So go ahead and attach your second arm the same exact way. Again, the yarn tail will be on the opposite side, so you'll go through the back first and pop out the front. But then just go ahead and continue to attach it the same way, and then I'll meet you back here and we will add some eyes. Okay, you should now have both your arms attached, and I took both yarn tails through the bottom and I cut them free. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the eyes. If you have a different way of making eyes, go ahead and do it. I'm not like the best at adding eyes, but I'll show you how I add eyes to this fox. So the eyes are going to go approximately over top of row 10. So if you count down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is row 10. So I'm just going to stick a pin over top of that. And then they're about 4 spaces apart. So stick another pin in here, but you can always make sure they look nice and even too. Alright, so then go ahead and take a strand of your black yarn. I'm just going to stick with gray since that's what I've been doing. And go ahead and go into the side of the head and pop out underneath of row 10, so that space in between rows 10 and 11. And then just don't pull your yarn tail all the way through. And then you're just going to go up one row in between and go inside the space in between rows 9 and 10. Just like that. And don't pull it too tight. And then we're going to go ahead and do that again. All right. Now go ahead and go over to where you want your other eye. We're going to do the same thing we did with the last eye. But after you double up this eye, go ahead and move over to that first eye and pop out in the top. And then just go over, stay in that same row, go over one stitch. And then we'll go back over to the top of the other eye. Just don't pull too tight. And go over one stitch. And then pop out where you put that yarn tail through the side of the head there. Alright. So here are the eyes for the fox. Again, if you have different way of doing it, you can. Sorry, my cat was laying on this, so he's got it squished and all hairy. But here's what it looks like with black eyes. I think it looks a little bit better with the black and orange, but there you go. So I hope you enjoyed making this fox, and I appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. Share the video, and also there is a playlist full of these if you want to try different ones, and then I also have other crochet animals that you can make. Thank you. Alright, so as long as you're satisfied with your eyes, go ahead and lightly tie these together, and then I like to cut them the same length to make it easier. And just like we've been doing, just go back through the head and pop out through the bottom here. All right. Thank you again.